Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Deleted. Me, female 30, my cousin, male 27, his wife, female 26. His life imploded because of a prank. What shall I do? My cousin, he grew up with our family, so he is more like my brother due to him being an orphan. Used to be a prankster. Some of his pranks are a bit much, but me, my mother, my father, my sister, and my older brother have always found the humor in his pranks. When he got older, he became more mature and the pranks pretty much stopped. He got married 2 years ago to an angel of a woman. She has a heart of gold and a pure soul. 6 months ago I broke my foot and she became my nurse. I didn't ask for any help, but she came to my house the day the hospital discharged me and ordered me to eat and watch Netflix while she took care of me in the house. Bottom line is, the girl is awesome. On to the issue at hand. As I said in the beginning, my cousin used to be a prankster but stopped around 6 years ago. But for some reason, he decided to prank his wife. Let's call her Alicia, with the 24-hour ignoring your partner prank. Before I go on, Alicia had a terrible first marriage where her ex used the silent treatment and basically controlled her. She told me that she used to cry and beg him to talk to her. She's a people pleaser and hates the idea of someone angry at her. She is in therapy for that. My cousin knows all about that, but for some idiotic reason, he decided to prank her. According to my cousin, he ignored her for like 5 hours before she contacted me in tears saying that my cousin won't talk to her and he left the house and he was not answering her calls and that she doesn't know what she did. I came to their house and called him. He answered and I asked him what is going on. He asked what I meant. I explained to him what Alicia said and he laughed and said he was coming. I knew instantly it was a prank and a very stupid one. He came home and was laughing, saying it was a prank, but his laughter died immediately when he saw the look on her face. She was beyond hurt, and the more he said, "I'm sorry, baby, it was a prank," the more she turned her face away from him. After 20 minutes of him saying different variations of "I'm sorry" and her not saying a single word, she stood up, packed a bag, and left the house. Now it is my cousin's turn to be a crying mess, calling 30 times and messaging her God knows how much and her ignoring his existence. The difference is, this is not a prank. I'm there for her and I've tried to not say anything about my cousin's mental state so that I don't influence her decision. He's severely depressed and I'm genuinely worried about him, but I really don't want them to get a divorce. What can I do? How can I fix this? How can I be there for my cousin? I made it clear to him that what he did was beyond effed up and maybe it was our fault for enabling his careless behavior when he was a teenager and how disappointed we are in him right now. But as I said, he's more than a cousin to me and I cannot just stop loving him. All of this happened a week ago. What can I do? Sometimes I feel like, F it ain't my problem. But I find myself checking on my cousin to make sure he eats and sleeps. Well, OP, you said it. Your cousin is an idiot. We all know that pranks are when both people laugh. If not, it's not a prank. And your very intelligent cousin decided to prank his wife with her trigger. That's awesome. And OP, to your question, what can you do and how can you fix this? Well, first thing is, I don't think you can fix this because this isn't yours to fix. This is your cousin's doing, so it is his problem and he's the one that needs to fix it. He needs to put on his big boy pants and figure out a way to save his marriage. Saying I'm sorry is a very good start, but it's just that, a start. And yeah, I absolutely agree with his wife to want to just be away from him for a while. What he did was not cool at all. So what I would do if I was in his shoes is maybe suggest couples counseling. And of course, he needs to stop with the pranks. I mean, when you said he had matured and stopped pranking people, I thought that was like at 16, 17 maybe, but not at 21, come on. Anyways, what about you guys? What do you think about this situation or what kind of advice would you give OP? Let me know in the comment section and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Winged Umbrella says, he's 27 years old, he can't be that stupid. I would suspect he actually wanted to punish her for something. It might have been small and he didn't expect such a huge fallback. It might have been a manipulation move. But I doubt he can be that stupid at 27 and have no idea that would hurt someone, even without a traumatic background. She sounds caring and responsible. He's either very dumb, petty, or manipulative, or all of that. She deserves better. In any case, she should be allowed to leave without any interference from any outsider if she so wishes. His mental illness is not her responsibility, especially when he is cruel to her. That was a huge breach of trust. It's up to her whether it's forgivable or not. And OP responds, he's not dumb as you said, and I cannot for the life of me understand what made him do what he did. As for the part where you said he maybe did this to punish her, I don't know, but I'll ask him, and if it turns out he did this as a form of punishment, then I'll wash my hands of this situation. If she decides to get a divorce, I'll support her. Barbara Millicent says, so after spending a paragraph describing what a sweet angel this lady is, you also want to fix it for him, so she will stay in a relationship with a man who intentionally hurt her where he knew it would hurt? Ha ha ha, I'm going to ignore her and make her cry just like her ex-husband did. I'm so funny. Do you think that behavior comes from a happy and healthy marriage? Of course not, but you want her to stay in that marriage anyways. You're both awful. You should be supporting her and offering her help, not asking the internet how to manipulate her into staying with your cousin. You're downright excusing and trying to save him regardless if it costs someone you literally just called an angel being in an unhealthy, unhappy marriage with someone who thinks it's funny to cause her distress. I hope this sweet girl gets far away from all of you. She deserves to be a part of a loving, caring family, and this ain't it. And Dopey responds, not wanting that doesn't mean I'll try to influence her because I'll never dream of doing so. And as I said, I don't talk about my cousin when I'm with her. And whatever she wants, I'll support her 100%. And maybe you're right and I am making excuses for him because I never imagined he'll do something like that. David 5051 says, she should divorce him. You want them to stay together because you enjoy her being in your life and you don't like seeing your cousin hurt. That's incredibly selfish of you. This woman has already endured an abusive relationship and your cousin is the very same. Any idiot could easily see how this would hurt her, and he's not an idiot. He knows what he was doing and enjoyed how it hurt her. He kept it up for hours and planned on continuing it until you intervened. Who knows what else he's done to this poor girl that you either left out or don't know about? I'm glad she has the ability to know when enough is enough. No normal person takes the knowledge of something painful to the person they love and uses it against them like this. He did it because this is funny to him. He enjoyed it until he realized that she wasn't going to be treated like this anymore. You should be helping her leave him, not stay. And OP responds, I didn't say I was trying to get them back together. I even forced him to stop calling her and leave her alone. Well, the community agrees that OP's cousin is an idiot. And I think it was pretty clear what the community thinks OP should do, which is nothing at all. If he wants to fix this, let him fix this, but if she wants to leave, then she should just leave. So now it's time that we move on to the first of two updates, but of course, I gotta tell you about the playlists. They all have videos with updates, so give any playlist a chance. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Now let's move on to the update. Hi guys, I thought you guys deserved an update since your responses were insightful and very helpful, so thank you for that. I have a semi-conclusion to this story, but my father was in surgery, so I waited till everything was okay with him, and it is, thank God. On to the update. I told my cousin that if he was going to visit my father, he needed to not make a scene and approach Alicia and try to talk to her. She called me telling me that she was coming to visit my father, and I told her she didn't need to come, but she insisted. He promised he won't talk to her and that he'll wait in the cafe with my older brother. My father is the only one who doesn't know about the incident. We kept it to ourselves till the surgery and the recovery was done. Alicia came and went without a hint of a problem. When Dad was resting, I took my cousin to a nearby cafe and pretty much interrogated him. What you guys said about him using this as a punishment stuck with me, especially when he didn't do any pranks for 6 years. Even when he used to do pranks, they were more annoying physically and psychologically, like throwing water when you least expected, or like pulling the chair from under you. I asked him, you stopped 6 years ago and all of a sudden you do this? And to her of all people, knowing her trauma? Before I go on, I need to explain something. Some comments thought that Alicia was exaggerating with her reaction. He was ignoring her while he was at home, one-word answers and generally being very cold to her. And when she called me was when he left the house and didn't answer her. Now, the people who said that there is something behind his behavior were right. He was upset that she was spending way more time at her father's house. He's physically disabled and has a male nurse that takes care of him, but Alicia handles all her father's financial duties since her mother died. I asked him, you knew about her situation before you guys got married? She told you everything. Hell, I told you everything. I was the one introducing her to him. He said, I know, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being left one more time by someone that I love. I asked him, what do you mean by one more time? He lowered his head and said in a voice almost ashamed, I always felt that Mama, he calls my mother Mama, preferred you guys, me and my siblings, over me. I saw red, and I'm not proud of this, but I started to be really angry and I wanted to slap him. His bio mother, my aunt, was my mother's younger sister. According to my father, I was like 5. My mother went into severe depression and the only thing that she could hold on to was my father, us and him. She raised him and so did my father. I didn't know he wasn't my bio brother but my cousin at the age of 16 for God's sake. That is how tight we were, and for him to say that devastated me and filled me with the anger I didn't know I had. I was so close to slapping him when I saw he was crying really hard. He said, I know it sounds crazy and I'm sorry, but this is how I felt all my life. I didn't say anything for a bit. Then I just stood up and said, you are going to therapy, and if you refuse, then lose my number. He just nodded and asked, what about Alicia? I said, you'll leave her alone, and whatever she decides, you'll go along with it. He nodded again while crying. We went back to my father's room and I left the hospital. I'm angry and heartbroken. I don't know what it's like to be an orphan, so I'll never pretend to understand him. But I swear to the Lord Almighty, we did everything so that he'd never feel left out. What shall I do now? As for Alicia, I told her that she'll always find a friend and a sister in me and my other sister, no matter what she decides. So there it is. I'm more confused than before. Tell me, what would you do? So he pranked her, quote unquote, because that's not a prank, because she was taking care of her disabled dad? Yeah, now I'm on team Alicia should leave this idiot. I do feel sorry for what he went through as a child. Of course, that is not something that you wish upon anybody, but that's not an excuse for what he did. OP, this is one of those situations where you just need to be there for people and not try to fix their issues. Be there for Alicia as a friend and a sister like you said you were going to be, and for your cousin just helping stop being an idiot, and he has to go to therapy like he said he would. Anyway, we have one short final update from OP because after this, she then deleted everything. So let's move on with that and see how this story ends. Hi guys, I really hope that the moderators don't remove this post. This will be my final update. My cousin is in therapy. He and his wife decided to have a temporary separation for 6 months. During these 6 months, he'll continue his individual therapy and he and Alicia will have one day every week where they'll go for walks and talk openly and honestly about everything. Alicia suggested couples counseling as well and my cousin agreed to it. That's it. No one knows what will happen after these 6 months, but at least everyone is trying to heal. Thank you so much to everyone that commented and gave me advice, and to those wonderful people who messaged me privately and wished me and my family well. I thank you. So short and to the point. OP, I do hope that your cousin is able to work through whatever problems he has in therapy and that he does become the best husband he can be to Alicia because she does deserve a good person. I think it's awesome that she's the one that suggested couples counseling. She definitely sees something in your cousin and hopefully he can hold on to that so that this marriage will last. In any case, thank you so much for sharing your story, OP, and all the best to all of you in the future. Take care. Now, let's move on to the mood booster post. And to spice things up, this post is from the subreddit Today I F'd Up and it's by user Captain Cow. Today I F'd up by underestimating the potency of my special stay awake sauce. Gather round, friends, and let me tell you a story of ill-advised mixology, daring bluffs, and a host of glamorous and not so glamorous exploits. I'd like to apologize in advance for my typos. My hands are rather shaky at the moment for reasons that will soon become apparent. The time was 7 p.m. today. I was sitting in a lecture hall struggling to stay awake. I still had 2 hours of class to get through and the teacher's droning, the soporific voice was doing a grave disservice to what should have been a fascinating topic. I wasn't concerned though. I had a secret weapon. I reached into my bag and received the vial of OP's particularly potent pick-me-up potion I had prepared this morning. I uncorked the bottle and took a small sip of the cloudy red liquid inside. It burned my throat and the acrid bitter taste clung to my lips. I took half a bottle of water to purge the evil flavors from my mouth, but then this stuff wasn't supposed to taste good, it was supposed to get results. I sat and waited eagerly for it to take effect. Half an hour later, the temptation to drift off to sleep was still there, clouding my mind and weighing down my eyelids. I decided I needed a little more juice. This time, I took a hearty mouthful, forcing it down my throat despite my body's protests. That, dear reader, was a mistake. At this point, we should rewind a few years for some such needed context. This is the part of the story with the daring bluff and the glamorous exploits. I graduated high school with the help of prescription stimulants, which were only prescribed for a short time. I took them on an as-needed basis and squirreled the excess away for a rainy day. Fast forward a few years to the rainiest rainy day in recent history, the pandemic. The collective mental health of the world took a nosedive, and I was right there with everyone else, plummeting toward rock bottom. I remembered how well prescription stimulants had worked for me in the past, but I didn't want to exhaust my dwindling stash or pay exorbitant prices for street Adderall, so I started looking into alternatives. Dear reader, did you know you can just go on the internet and buy a canister of pure laboratory-grade caffeine? I didn't until one fateful night in December of last year. I sat staring at my computer screen, my mind awash with new hope and anticipation. I added the canister to my cart and pressed the big green button. As it turns out, ordering stimulants, even legal ones, from an industrial biochemical supply company isn't as simple as just push the big green button. They wanted to know that I was a responsible scientist working with a reputable research institution and not, for example, a burnt-out college student trying to impulse buy enough caffeine to kill a horse. I sat staring at the form for a while, wondering if I was the kind of person who would try to bluff their way through a background check to order soft drugs from a chemical supply company. The bottle of single malt on my desk cast the deciding vote. I woke up the next morning feeling bright and chipper. My brain was designed to be alcoholic. I get anti-hangovers. I sat down at my computer and checked my email. One new message from a contact at a biochemical supply company. The events of the previous night came flooding back to me. Oh effing hell ass balls, I thought. I'm probably about to be expelled. Son of an ass. Why did I think this would work? Heart pounding, I opened the email. Dear OP, it read. We're writing to inform you that your recent request to be added to the list of authorized purchases for Cow College has been approved. Click this link to complete your order. I stared at the screen dumbfounded. I clicked the link, still dumbfounded. I placed my order. I spent the rest of the year adding carefully measured portions of semi-legally obtained caffeine to my tea, making each cup of chamomile the equivalent of 8 cups of coffee. I was back, baby. I got back into cooking, I took up hobbies, I went on dates, I pulled all-nighters, I went from nocturnal to diurnal to nocturnal again. I did all my homework on the roof. Students weren't supposed to have roof access, but I was an exception because I was good at picking locks. I saved my declining grades, I graduated, I decided to take more classes, which brings us to today when I decided a swig of Mamamoo's probably potable pep potion was exactly what I needed to make it through my evening class. So, OP, I hear you ask, what is this mysterious mixture? Everything, I reply with a shameful grimace. Everything was in it. It was half espresso and half Tabasco sauce, fortified with pure caffeine, amphetamine, nicotine, and methylphenidate. One sip is the equivalent of washing down a Ritalin and half an Adderall with 12 cups of coffee. A shot glass of the stuff would send an adult into ventricular fibrillation. It's an unholy blend of stimulants and capsaicin in an acid bath. It's an ill-advised, irresponsible, and most certainly illegal elixir of inexorable anxious energy. It should never be imbibed. It should be sealed in a lead-lined box to protect future generations. It's a crime against nature. I should be locked up for creating it. So now I lie here in my bed, taking long deep breaths, trying to keep my mind and body under control while the concoction slowly drains from my system. My muscles are trembling, my resting heart rate is 90 beats per minute, and I can feel the adrenaline and cortisol pumping through my veins. It's a good thing I have prior practice preventing panic attacks, or else I'd surely be curled up into a fetal ball of suffering by now. But alas, don't worry internet friends, I've learned my lesson. Next time, I'll only take one swig. Well, OP, silver lining is that you did learn a lesson. one swig at a time. Thank you for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.